Notice has been posted at the board's office and the website, emailed to the Department upstate, and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Holden?
Here.
Commissioner Solomon?
Here.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Here.
Commissioner Borden?
Here.
President Fiordaliso.
Here. And when's our next regularly scheduled meeting?
Our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, August 18, 2021, at 10 a.m. via teleconference with details to follow.
Thank you. First, let me welcome all of you here again in our new boardroom, our second meeting, and all of those who are seeing us through live stream, welcome, and we will be going into executive session. The board will be addressing the following items in executive session. Under energy, in the matter of the board and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, items for 2021. In the matter of the approval of settlement agreement. Under clean energy, we have two items that we're going to be looking or discussing in executive session. Memorandum of understanding between the board and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. And 8D, memorandum of understanding also between the board and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. And we also have a late starter on the agenda today, and that's under audits, item A, in the matter of a memorandum of understanding between the board and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. We're apparently attached at the hip with the Economic Development Authority today. And regarding funding for the expansion of the clean energy innovation economy in New Jersey. The board will take action on these items during regular session. I would estimate executive session will last approximately 15 to 30 minutes. Will the Attorney General's office please read and explain the justification for going into executive session?
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Item 2F falls within the pending or anticipated litigation and attorney-client privilege exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act. Items 8C, 8D, and late starter A all fall within the contract negotiation exception to the Open Public Meetings Act. These exceptions are found in New Jersey Statute 10:4-12B7.
Thank you, Michael. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Anyone who is not a member of the Board of Public Utilities, I would ask that you leave the boardroom at this time. thank you, ladies, for your patience. And I welcome those who are watching us via live stream. I welcome you back. And we went a little bit longer than anticipated, but we are back now. There are a few opening remarks that I would like to make before we go on to our regular agenda. As most of you are aware, Paul Flanagan did retire, and that was mentioned at our last meeting. And Bob Brapston has assumed the position of Executive Director for the board, which left a vacancy in the Deputy Executive Director position. And I am happy to announce publicly that Stacy Peterson, our Director of Energy, will be assuming the position of Deputy Executive Director. And we are thrilled that Stacy is willing to take on this position, and we look forward to a lot of good things happening. So congratulations, Stacy, and I know we look forward to our work with you to continue in such a positive and productive way as it has been with the Division of Energy. And Stacy will still be overseeing the Division of Energy until a replacement is secured for that position. And we'll be posting that job very soon. So it's really gratifying to know that we have so many competent people here at the board, and that we're able to promote from within. And that is so important because it just proves that the hires that we have made over the past number of years have been good ones, and ones that have moved our agenda forward. So, also I'd like to announce that Dr. Kira Lawrence, who has been with us she took a sabbatical as her real job, so to speak, as a college professor, is coming to an end. And that we are going to certainly miss her. She has been one of the bright stars as far as our clean energy division is concerned. She jumped in with both feet and really has done an extremely good job. We're trying somehow to prevent her from leaving. So what we've done, it's the reason she's not here, we actually locked her somewhere in the closet so she can't leave us. And but she will be going back to her teaching duties, and we're hoping that somewhere down the road that she reappears here at the board, and so on. And all I can say is her students are lucky to have such a person of her knowledge and her dedication as their professor. And we will certainly miss you, Kira. We will also have a special board meeting on July 28th, and that will be here in the boardroom. And again, the general public can view us through live stream. We're not prepared at this point to receive the general public into the boardroom, but that day will certainly come, and that will be dedicated, that meeting will be dedicated to the Solar Successor Program. And it really is another very important step in our road, or our journey down the road, to a cleaner energy future here in the state of New Jersey. As you know, back the June 30, we awarded the second solicitation, and I think we have now awarded over 3,700 megawatts of offshore wind. And we calculated, or rather Jim Ferris calculated, that the 3,700 megawatts of wind consumes 411 square miles of the ocean. And the placement of these turbines are extremely important because we're always concerned, not only for the shipping lanes that are so necessary, because we have the second largest seaport in the country here at Newark, Elizabeth, and those shipping lanes have to be protected. And our commercial fishermen have to be protected. So the placement of these turbines is very, very important. And we'll be certainly working with the developers, Ørsted and Atlantic Shores, to ensure the fact that these two entities, shipping lanes and commercial fishermen, are protected as we continue on our path to 100% clean energy. EV, electric vehicle year 2 phase, again is an important aspect, and it has changed a little. It's at point of service or point of purchase, point on the hood. What do we call it?
Back on the hood.
Cash on the hood. And so when you go into a car dealership and you buy an electric vehicle, there's cash right on the hood. Now, you don't have to buy the vehicle, you just take the contents. So it's a sliding scale depending on the model, the make, etc. So last year, phase 1 was so successful that we actually ran out of money. And we expect this year to be as successful. And as you recall, our goal is 330,000 electric vehicles by 2025. A very aggressive goal, but a goal that Governor Murphy feels we can achieve, and that is where we're going. And it is something to be proud of. When you look at the transportation system, that contributes in excess of 40% of the carbon that's emitted into the air. Transportation is a major area that we have to attack. There's no question about it. Also, we keep mentioning the end of the moratorium as far as arrearages and outages and things of that sort. And we do have a 6-month grace period until December 31st to give those folks who are experiencing some difficulty, who have arrearages as far as their energy and utility bills in general are concerned, to set up a payment plan with their utility, or to apply for assistance if that assistance is needed. So I encourage everyone who is in that position to please reach out, set up a payment plan, apply for assistance, and reduce your arrearages. Please don't wait till the last minute. Because if you wait till the last minute, you're going to be in a financial situation, most of you, I would assume, that is going to be difficult. So please, reach out and let's get this moving along. The late starter that is on the agenda, there is no vote or discussion regarding this matter. So that item will not be voted on during our regular session here. That's the one that involving Jersey Central Power and Light. Do any of my colleagues have any opening remarks that they would like to make? Madam Secretary, the consent agenda, please.
On the following consent agenda items, 1A, 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B, 4C, 5A, 7A, and 9A.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Violia?
Yes. Thank you, Ada. There are no items under audits to consider. That brings us to energy. And Deputy Executive Director Peterson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Item 2A relates to an August 2020 petition filed by ACE seeking approval of an AMI rollout program, including an associated cost recovery mechanism. The company proposed to roll out AMI meters and infrastructure throughout its service territory over a 39-month period. Following extensive discovery and settlement meetings, several parties have executed a stipulation resolving this matter. As part of the settlement, ACE will invest in the accelerated deployment of AMI and defer the cost as a regulatory asset, which will be reviewed in subsequent phase rate cases. Customers who choose to retain their existing meter will be subject to a $15 per month meter reading fee. Additionally, there will be a one-time $45 fee for the removal of an AMI meter and the reinstallation of a conventional meter. ACE will provide testimony and actual cost information for these fees in the next rate case, at which time the fees will be subject to review and modification. Utilidata submitted a letter opposing the stipulation and requesting that the board amend the stipulation to require ACE to develop specific plans, deadlines, and budget commitments to use AMI to further the goals of the Energy Master Plan. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments for Stacy? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, and by taking this action today, it's another step forward in investing in our infrastructure to help improve efficiencies and improve cost savings for both the utilities and our ratepayers. Infrastructure, as we say almost daily, and certainly at every meeting, is vital as we continue to move into a clean energy environment. Advanced meter infrastructure has the potential to relay critical information to our utilities in near real time. So it's important that people continue to look at these AMI meters and go forward with installing them, because it can certainly improve your efficiency. It can help customers save money by providing data directly to the customer so they can cut their cost if they want. They can monitor their energy better, their usage better. So these are all important things. But the whole infrastructure idea is becoming more and more important as we move into a clean energy environment. The infrastructure insofar as interconnection. And every time I talk to utilities, I'm talking about infrastructure involving interconnection. That solar system has to be connected somewhere. And when offshore wind comes onshore, it has to be connected somewhere. Our infrastructure has to be ready to accept that. We can't wait for the last minute to do it.
Mr. President,
Yes.
because you made that comment, I just want, one of the thoughts that ran through my mind when you were saying that was that a lot of these AMI meters, what makes them different from the regular meters is the two-way communication ability. And sorry for that. The difference between AMI meters and smart meters and the regular meters is the two-way communication ability. I don't know whether the utilities have explored the possibility of disabling that communication capability. That way, the people who are resisting, they have to eventually they can go for the AMI, and it's electronics there that can be done, something to be looked at, so that way you don't have to continue the existing meter, and then, or if you need a new, for that $15 a month, and then if you replace that meter with a new meter, it's $45. And maybe we should also, to facilitate, I think a lot of these people who accept these technologies. There are a few people, and so that way maybe we try to see another option possible. So that way.
Yeah, most of the meters have the ability to stop the two-way communication, so that it is only communicating the one way. However, most customers who don't want the two-way communication also don't want the digital communication. So there has to be the opt-out provision to allow for a non-digital or an analog meter.
Maybe we have to start educating them and telling them, hey, look, at least have this one. This will save you money. $15 a month is not money.
Yeah, the education, the consumer education piece of AMI rollout has been big in the Rockland rollout, as well as so far in the PSE&G rollout. And what we're seeing is very low levels of opting out for both of those. Significantly lower once they go and educate the customer as to what it actually is, and discuss the health concerns that customers have. So we are seeing low amounts of opt-outs, and it is the education piece that is helping.
Yeah.
Rockland, they had $25, I believe, opt-out fee, something like that.
Rockland is $15 opt-out fee, and $45 $45 opt-out fee, and I think $15 a month for the meter reading.
In this case, age case, it's lower, I think, yeah, so on.
I think it's about the same. I think it's about the same. But I believe in Rockland's rollout, they only had about a 2% opt-out.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good percentage. A very low percentage. I would have expected more, frankly. And it's important too. We talk about education, and it's important as far as AMI meters are concerned that education is necessary. We also have to keep in mind that with all of the clean energy initiatives, education is also required. Education from us and education from the utilities. Because the consumer is being presented with many different things that are not traditional. I mean, back in the day, people never thought of energy being generated by anything, by any other means than oil or coal. That's what it was generated by. Now we're presenting a whole different set of generation options, meter options. So the educational process must continue. And it's incumbent upon the utilities to be a major part of that educational process. So it's extremely important. Next item, also an next item, Stacy.
Correct. On December 9th, 2020, Atlantic City Electric filed a petition seeking approval of an increase in its base rates of approximately $71.8 million, including sales and use tax. Through the course of the proceeding, ACE updated its request to include 12 months of actual data, which reflected an updated revenue requirement of $71.3 million, including SUT. Following extensive discovery and settlement meetings, several parties have executed a stipulation, which was approved by ALJ Gertzman. Some key features of the stipulation are a settlement revenue requirement of $41 million, excluding SUT, and an ROE of 9.6%. Additionally, the residential monthly customer charge will increase to $6.25. As a result of the stipulation, the agreed upon revenue requirement and associated base rate changes will not become effective until January 1st of 2022. Based on the stipulation, effective January 1st of 2022, the monthly bill of a typical residential customer will increase by $4.22. Staff recommends the board adopt the initial decision and approve the stipulation, which would provide for an increase in base rates for services rendered on or after January 1st of 2022. Staff further recommends the board direct ACE to file tariff sheets by July 15th that reflect the tariff language changes to become effective July 15th, and to file by December 1st, 2021, tariff sheets reflecting the rate changes that will become effective January 1 of 2022. Staff recommends
Those tariff sheets, every time.
Staff recommends the board authorize staff to review the compliance tariff sheets.
Now,
Go for it.
It's a tariff sheet, so let's do it to me. So moved.
Second.
questions, comments?
Yeah.
Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2C, PSE&G, Stace?
Yes. On December 23rd, PS filed a petition seeking review and approval of the company's manufactured gas plant remediation adjustment clause activities and net costs incurred between August 2019 and July 2020. PS requested approval of net RAP expenditures of approximately $34.5 million, which would decrease the annual revenue collected from electric customers by about $3.7 million and by $10.2 million from gas customers. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow PS to implement its proposed rates. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential electric customer would see a decrease in their annual bill of 44 cents, and a typical residential gas customer would see a decrease of $4.36 per year. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing PS to file a revised tariff by August 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2D, PS wants to sell some property.
We do. On March 25th, Public Service filed a petition seeking approval to sell a parcel of vacant land in Jersey City to BPG Acquisitions LLC for the sum of $7.1 million. PS also requested a waiver of the advertising requirement. The company discontinued all operations on the property when it discontinued its manufactured gas plant operations there in 1985. According to PS, the property has been environmentally remediated and is deed noticed as a permanent remedial measure for the soil and groundwater contamination. PS proposed to credit the net proceeds from the sale to offset its deferred RAC balance. The company will retain the responsibility to inspect the engineering controls and report biannually to the DEP. Following the closing of the sale, PS will be granted a permanent easement, which will allow the company to access the property to continue any remedial activities. Rate Council submitted comments, not objecting to the sale of the property, but requested the approval of the sale be conditioned upon certain provisions which are incorporated into the draft order. Staff recommends the board approve the sale, subject to the conditions set forth in the draft order.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Stacy? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And 2E regarding Rockland.
Yes. On October 30th, Rockland filed a petition related to its SRAC 2 program, requesting authorization to carry forward the unrecovered administrative fee balance for recovery in future annual periods and to maintain the participant fee at $30, as well as maintain the SRAC 2 component of its REGI surcharge, which is currently $0. By order dated December 16th, the board approved the continuation of the administrative fee at $30 per SREC for calendar year 2021, and noted that the parties would continue to review all other issues. RICO made subsequent updates to the petition to reflect actual data through January 2021. The parties have now executed a stipulation recommending the board's previously approved administrative fee of $30 be maintained for the remainder of this calendar year, and that the Reggie surcharge applicable to the SREC 2 program be maintained at 0. There is no ratepayer impact as a result of the stipulation. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing Rockland to file revised tariffs by August 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Thank you, Stacy. 2F, Ben? This item was discussed in executive session, by the way.
Yes, good morning. In the matter of the Board of Public Utilities, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission items for 2021, and in the matter of the approval of settlement agreement as discussed in executive session, staff recommends that the board approve the settlement agreement.
So moved.
Second.
So there are no questions or comments. Roll call.
on the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, thank you, Ben. There are no items under cable TV or telecommunications. That brings us to water. Michael?
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners.
Good morning.
I am very excited to present to you today the long overdue update of the uniform system of accounts for water and wastewater. I brought props with me. The water uniform system of accounts were adopted effective January 1st, 1960. The wastewater annual report and uniform system of accounts were adopted effective April 1st, 1957.
I was around.
And you think they need revision?
Absolutely. This is something that I've been working on for the last 40 years, and everybody who has worked in water issues for the last 40 years has worked on updating the uniform system of accounts, and I finally made it happen.
All right.
The accounting system followed by the utilities is known as the uniform system of accounts. As I mentioned, the water uniform system of accounts became effective on January 1st, 1960. Staff is recommending that the board adopt a final rule that adopts by reference the uniform system of accounts for Class A, Class B, and Class C water utilities that have been promulgated by the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners, or NARUC. The proposed regulation was published in the December 7th, 2020 New Jersey Register.
Moves the recommendation of staff.
Second?
I don't know if we should accept vote on this. All right, Mike, we'll vote. Roll call.
I just have a question.
Yes, I'm sorry, there's a question.
Yeah, now that it took only 50 years to modify, to go back to 85 from NARUC recommendations, are we going to publish this in print, or are we going to provide CDs?
It will be available from NARUC, and we're just going to be adopting by reference the NARUC uniform system of accounts. I note that the gas and electric companies follow the FERC uniform system of accounts, which is included in the Code of Federal Regulations, and telecommunications follows the FCC and uniform system of accounts, which is also found in the Code of Federal Regulations. Unfortunately, there's no federal equivalent agency for water and wastewater, so that's why NARUC has its own uniform system of accounts. And by adopting by reference the NAREC uniform system of accounts, we won't have to go through this again. Every time NAREC updates its uniform system of accounts, it will automatically update our uniform system of accounts.
Any other questions or comments for Michael?
Can we name these the camera law?
There you go. Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes.
And we've got a second recommendation,
Yes.
which is 5B, which is the same as water, which we're going to be adopting the NAREC uniform system of accounts for wastewater. And that was also, this will also be a final rule, and the proposed rule was published also on the December 7th, 2020 New Jersey Register.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Congratulations, Michael.
And I'd like to thank Megan Lupo. She worked very hard on this, and it wouldn't have happened without her.
And this does not mean, since you've been working on these for 40 years, this does not mean you can leave now. Just keep that in mind. All right. All right. Ben, you're back up.
I have returned, and I'm going to keep my camera right here next to me, since this is a water matter. So item 5C relates to a joint petition by Violia Environment SA and Suez SA and affiliated companies requesting board approval of a change of control of Suez Water New Jersey, Inc., as the two companies begin to merge their North American assets and operations. On May 14th, 2021, the two parent companies, both French-based companies, signed a merger agreement, and on June 29th, the merger was approved by their respective boards of directors. The BPU's jurisdiction extends to the assets and operations of Suez's affiliate, Suez Water New Jersey, Inc. Suez New Jersey has a significant presence in New Jersey. They provide water and wastewater services to 258,000 residential and commercial customers, generally in the northern and western part of the state, and generate approximately $299 million in operating revenues for 2020. Today, as a first step in the review process, staff recommends that the board retain the matter for hearing and designate a commissioner as presiding officer in the matter.
I'm going to be the hearing officer.
Very good.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, man.
There are no items under reliability and security. That brings us to customer assistance. Julie? Yes. You give it to her.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I have two items before you today. The first one is a billing dispute between Ipiyama, Ezequiel, and Suez Water. The petitioner failed to answer any of her hearing notices or anything at the OAL. First of all, it was a billing dispute. She's alleging that Suez wrongly billed her for $5,322. However, she failed to answer any hearing notices, anything that comes from the ALJ. They even gave her a couple of extensions to answer, and she never answers, failed to prosecute the matter. And so staff is we're recommending that the board adopt an initial decision dismissing the petition.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments for Julie? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, and 7B, another billing dispute.
And another billing dispute between ABX Group and Middlesex Water Company. ABX, is disputing a bill for $6,355 from Middlesex, alleging that the property was vacant. Middlesex sent out, representatives to check the meter, check the, premises for leaks and found none. After that, Middlesex filed a motion for summary decision with the ALJ, ALJ Bono. And this decision concluded that ABX failed to show by a preponderance of the evidence that the water bills were in dispute and were not accurate. So staff is, requesting that the board adopt an initial decision dismissing this petition also.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments for Julie?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I have to say, I was concerned about this one. I mean, as I remember the details, the petitioner alleges that the property was vacant.
Yes.
And so, I'm just at a loss to understand, maybe I'm missing something here, but how, further questions were not raised about this. It reminded me that just based on all the cases I've heard in the last couple of years, I mean, has any petitioner ever been successful in challenging a billing dispute? I'm just wondering whether the law as it's written now just makes it virtually impossible for a petitioner to be able to make a case that there was something wrong, that there was some kind of error. Am I missing something?
There have been petitioners, I'm sorry, who have won, been awarded. So most of the dismissals, and correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, have been because they didn't show up.
And sure, or the meter tested positive. The meter test was witnessed by board staff, and the water went through the meter.
The other issue, and I had raised with you, because I had concerns
Yes.
also about that, this particular, thank you, Bob. To find out exactly who they were, and they're, saying, your building's vacant, and who are you keeping track of it? Evidently, this is some sort of management company.
Yes.
For this building, whether people are getting in there, they have the security, so that people are taking advantage of a vacant building. I mean, we really have no way of knowing, I would presume.
No, and they didn't do their due diligence, basically, with monitoring their property.
That's what I was gonna say.
The water could have been, it could have been taken illegally, but the water went through their meter, and they never contacted the Middlesex Water Company to disconnect the service, or at any time.
That was my other point too, is that, how long do you wait? How many bills do you receive where, to get to the point of this particular issue? I could see if it was, earlier on where there may have been an issue, but, I had a similar inquiry on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, those are good cases to really point to and so on. But let me just give you a personal situation. My water. Every month I was getting the exact same bill, to the penny. Well, I mean, that's virtually impossible, right? So
You're very regular.
I only turn the water on at 12 noon, so I call, and I said, for the past 3 months I've gotten the same, we get billed quarterly. For the past 3 quarters I've gotten exactly the same bill. That can't be, right? So they came out, indeed, the meter was defective. But there is a responsibility on the consumer also, just as you said, this company didn't notify Middlesex and indicate, hey, something's wrong, you know, and so on. But to answer your initial question, yeah, they have gotten relief.
Actually, they were lucky that it would have been winter, it would have, pipes would have busted, and it would have caused a lot of hardship.
Yeah, that's true. So, now I pay regular bills, I should have kept it at that. Thank you, Julie. We did vote on this, yes? No, let's vote.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to clean energy item A, some rules here. Ariane, how are you today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Pleasure to be here, Mr. President, Commissioners. Item 8A is a rule proposal. Thank you. Item 8A is a rule proposal for the establishment for the Successor Solar Incentive Program, otherwise known as the Suse program. This rule proposal is the first of several actions that staff will be recommending the board take today and at the special board meeting that has been announced for July 28th of this year. This proposed rule, as well as any actions the board may take on July 28th, fall under the heading of the solar transition, a process that was initiated in May 2018 with the enactment of the Clean Energy Act of 2018. Over the past 3 years, the board has closed the Solar Renewable Energy Certificate, or SREC program, upon the state's attainment of 5.1% of its retail electricity sales from solar electric generation facilities. The board has conducted a study to evaluate how to modify or replace the SREC program, which included extensive modeling and stakeholder engagement. The board has implemented an interim incentive program called the Transition Incentive Program. And the board is now proposing, or staff rather, is now proposing that the board approve the implementation of the Suse program as the new long-term vehicle for solar incentives. The Suse program also implements the Solar Act of 2021, which is legislation that was recently signed by Governor Murphy, which directs the board to establish a comprehensive program to provide incentives for the development of at least 3,750 megawatts of new solar capacity by 2026. Throughout the solar transition process, staff has been guided by several key principles, chief among which being a commitment to ensuring the continued efficient and orderly growth of solar in New Jersey's solar installed capacity while maintaining ratepayer affordability. Staff has also strived to conduct an open and transparent process and given strong consideration to input provided by various stakeholders. The proposed Suse program rule would create a framework for the implementation of the new solar incentive program. Staff expects to present recommendations on the specific implementation of the Suse program, including incentive values and megawatt targets, on July 28th. Specific recommendations in the proposed rule include the following. The Suse program would be comprised of 2 sub-programs, the Administratively Determined Incentive Program, or the ADI program, and the Competitive Solar Incentive Program, the CSI program, each designed to serve different segments of the New Jersey solar market. The proposed rules also include the proposed creation of a new incentive delivery instrument known as NJSREC2s, the establishment of the processes for registering projects in the Suse program, and amendments to the RPS rules to account for the SREC2s in the RPS. The rule proposal would also establish the overall program structure for the ADI program, which is intended to provide an incentive for net metered residential projects, net metered non-residential projects 5 megawatts and below, and community solar projects. The ADI program would also be open on an interim basis to projects formerly eligible for conditional certification under subsection T. The ADI incentive would be tailored to different types and sizes of projects, with incentive levels periodically revisited by the board to ensure that they remain tailored to project needs, while also providing financial certainty to market participants, including solar developers and financiers. This Suse program design is intended to contain program costs consistent with the legislative mandate of the Solar Act of 2021, the Solar Acts of 2018 and 2021, and the associated statutory cost caps. If approved, the rule proposal will be sent to the Office of Administrative Law, be published in the New Jersey Register, and be open to stakeholder comments for 60 days. A pre-publication copy of the rule proposal would also be posted on the New Jersey Clean Energy Program website as a courtesy to stakeholders. Staff recommends that the board approve the publication of the Suse program rule proposal.
So moved.
Second.
I like the name Susie.
Mary Ann Vincent.
And the reason I like the name Susie is when I was a young man, which was a couple of years ago, there was a song, Don't Mess with Sue. And who sang that, Commissioner?
Oh, I was thinking
Oh, no, we were thinking of a different
Wake
one.
up.
Oh, you were thinking of a different one.
Come back to those
Wake up. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Wrong language. That was annoying.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right, you're right, that's right.
Yeah, this
So
is-
you can
Wake up.
see what generation you're dealing with here. And any questions or comments for Ariana? Roll call, Susie.
The motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yeah.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fairlieso.
Yes, thank you, Ariana.
Thank you.
Now, keep repeating that song in your mind. Hello, Matt.
Good morning.
Good morning. You have the acoustic.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. Staff is pleased to present the recommendations for incentive awards for the acoustical testing pilot program for your consideration. I want to note what a truly team effort this was from both the Clean Energy, Water, and Legal divisions working together. In particular, I'd also like to thank my co-lead on the program, Kara Lawrence, who can be here today. 2019 Energy Master Plan recommends that New Jersey seek to explore energy efficiency opportunities in complementary sectors like the water sector, and identifies the energy-associated opportunities in complementary sectors such as pumping water and leaking infrastructure as two potential areas that could result in improved energy efficiency. Two recent reports estimates real water losses from leaking infrastructure in New Jersey to be approximately 50 billion gallons annually. Working closely with the Water Division and the Legal Division, staff developed the acoustical testing pilot program to help mitigate water, energy, and revenue losses due to leaking water infrastructure in New Jersey. This novel program allocates resources to facilitate water utilities to purchase and lease acoustic monitoring systems that employ permanent leak detection technology to enable them to more efficiently and effectively locate water leaks. On March 3rd, 2021, the board authorized the release of the acoustical testing pilot program application and authorized the allocation of $1.5 million in fiscal 21 clean energy funding. 9 applications were received by the application deadline. Staff conducted the application completeness check and notified the applicants of the status of their applications. Applicants whose applications were missing required information were given 10 business days to cure the deficiencies by submitting a supplement containing information required for the application to be deemed administratively complete. 5 applicants successfully submitted administratively complete applications by the cure deadline. Administratively complete applications were scored and ranked by staff in accordance with the program's evaluation criteria. Staff identified the top 4 ranked projects: Trenton Waterworks, Township of North Brunswick, Manchester Utility Authorities, and Washington Township Municipal Authorities, Utility Authority in Morristown, who will receive the full incentive amount in their applications. These incentives total $1,127,518.35. The remaining $372,481.65 budgeted for the first phase of the pilot has been carried forward into the fiscal '22 budget for use in phase 2 of this program. In keeping with the objectives of this program, these projects address water systems that have water losses ranging from 33 to 53% unaccounted for water or non-revenue water. 3 of these projects mitigate water and energy losses in urban and older suburban communities and address losses in overburdened communities. Therefore, staff recommends that the board approve the incentive awards to the top 4 ranked applicants as identified above.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? Yes.
This is a happy day for me, thank you, Matt. With Matt and Kira and the whole team, thank you so much. This is something I've been seeking for years, and this is just great. The energy savings is in the billions of kilowatt hours, so that's the largest use of electricity in this country is for pumping and processing water. And this is just great. We have the first pilot, and it's spread out across the state. And I think the success of this program, it will sell itself. But you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till we do wastewater. That's the next one.
Great job, Matt. And as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Kira Lawrence was instrumental with you and the team in getting this, and Mike, your division, in getting this off the ground. And when you look at the gallons of water that is lost, I mean, it's just astounding. All of our utilities are important, but there's only one utility we need to survive, and that's the one we waste the most. So, great job, and we continue to move forward, we continue to save energy, and we continue to save water. So, great job, thank you. Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Kelly, you're up. And I see that you're going to present 2 items. MOU, the first one, MOU with Economic Development Authority, and the second one, entirely different, MOU with the Economic Development Authority.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. Good morning again, Commissioners. As discussed in the executive session, this item is an MOU between the board and the EDA regarding funding for the Wind Institute for FY22. On August 16th, 2019, Governor Phil Murphy signed Executive Order number 79 and established a council for the Wind Innovation and New Development Institute, that's the Wind Institute, charged with developing and implementing a plan to create a regional hub for New Jersey's burgeoning offshore wind industry and building upon the commitment to make New Jersey a national leader in offshore wind. On April 22nd, 2020, the Wind Council released a report detailing plans for creating the Wind Institute, which will serve as a center for education, research, innovation, and workforce training related to the development of the offshore wind industry in New Jersey, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic region. A primary function of the Wind Institute will be to act as a centralized hub for offshore wind workforce development to support the development and delivery of programs and facilities that empower New Jerseyans to participate in the offshore wind industry. For FY22, the BPU has allocated $7 million from the NJCEP budget to provide funding to the Institute. The MOU establishes that the funds will be dedicated to support continued development and execution of workforce and education programs, in particular in key skill gap areas such as welding and marine transport, among others, as well as skill assessments to ascertain additional workforce priority areas. Support will also go to continued offshore wind-focused education at New Jersey vocational schools, hosting offshore wind seminars and other engagement activity for businesses and stakeholders interested in furthering offshore wind workforce development. Staff believes this MOU and the funding provided by the board will contribute to activities essential to positioning New Jersey as a hub for offshore wind workforce development and to support the development and delivery of programs and facilities that empower New Jerseyans to participate in offshore wind. Staff recommends the board approve the terms and conditions of the MOU and authorize execution of the MOU by the President.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? This just illustrates, again, the integration of all departments in state government. Whether we're talking about the Economic Development Authority, whether we're talking about the Department of Environmental Protection, whether we're talking about workforce development with the Department of Labor, whether we're talking about cooperation with the Department of Agriculture, all forces of government have to be involved, just as all segments of our population have to be involved in developing a clean energy future and achieving our goal of 100% clean energy by 2050. There are no questions or comments, roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Now for something completely different, an MOU with New Jersey Economic Development Authority.
That's correct. Thanks, Mr. President. As discussed in executive session, this item is also an MOU between the Board of Public Utilities and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. As the commissioners are well aware, the state's most recent energy master plan was released on January 27th, 2020 and set a goal for 100% clean energy by 2050. The MP also outlined a strategy to expand the clean energy innovation economy in New Jersey through workforce training, investments in developing clean energy knowledge, and the growth of world-class research and development. In FY22, the board allocated $2.5 million from the NJCEP budget to provide funding for New Jersey's clean energy and clean tech ecosystem, which will be administered by the EDA. This MOU would establish that the funds to be provided by the BPU will be used for the following programs administered by the EDA in conjunction with NJCEP that support the growth and development of New Jersey's clean energy and clean tech ecosystem. Specifically, the funds will support the following clean tech programs. They will launch a second phase of the Clean Tech Seed Grant Program to help New Jersey-based early-stage clean tech and clean energy companies accelerate development and innovation of clean technologies to transform new discoveries from research stage into commercially viable technologies. They will also expand the scope of the Clean Tech R&D Voucher Program to help early-stage clean tech, clean energy companies in New Jersey to access core facilities, equipment, marketing spaces, and participating in New Jersey university and federal laboratory and facility for clean energy and clean tech research and development. Staff believes this MOU and the funding provided by the board will contribute to activities essential to restoring New Jersey's leadership as the most diverse and inclusive innovation ecosystem in the United States. Staff recommends the board approve the terms and conditions of the MOU and authorize the execution of the MOU by the President.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Kelly. There are no items under miscellaneous. Late starter A we discussed in executive session, and there will be no action taken on that item. That brings us to late starter B, energy, and Joe DeLusa, staff report on resource adequacy. Hello, Joseph.
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners. Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners. A major challenge to decarbonizing New Jersey's electric grid is maintaining system reliability while shifting towards clean energy resources. To that end, on March 25th, 2020, consistent with the 2019 Energy Master Plan, or EMP, the board initiated this investigation and directed staff to determine whether New Jersey can achieve its long-term clean energy and environmental objectives under the current resource adequacy paradigm, and, if not, recommend how best to meet these goals in an economically efficient and sustainable manner. Over the past year, the investigation sought and received robust public comment, held a series of work sessions, and conducted a technical conference to gather evidence and input from interested stakeholders. Proposals submitted by the public were incorporated into the staff-led economic analysis titled Alternative Resource Adequacy Structures for New Jersey, which I'll call the report, before the board today. The report provides the board a detailed roadmap for encouraging our regional electricity markets to better incorporate clean energy considerations and engaging with state, regional, and federal policymakers to make it happen. By approving the report today, the board will be accepting the following conclusions and recommendations. First, incorporating New Jersey's clean energy goals in the regional market is the most efficient way to provide customers with reliable, affordable, and carbon-free electricity. Existing regional wholesale market structures have fulfilled their design objectives to maintain reliability at competitive prices, saving New Jersey customers hundreds of millions of dollars annually. However, those same markets have lagged behind in addressing state clean energy policies. Third, regulatory developments at the regional and national level, including PJM's commitment to radically scale back its mitigation of clean energy resources as part of the minimum offer price rule, or MOPR, make it premature to consider leaving the regional market structure. Allowing states to mandate achievement of specific clean energy targets directly in the regional electricity markets provides the proper price signals to private capital to invest in clean energy resources, yielding significantly better environmental outcomes that are also consistent with state policies. And last, a newly developed Integrated Clean Capacity Market Design, or ICCM, would allow states to directly leverage the competitive efficiencies of the broad regional marketplace for efficient achievement of their clean energy goals. The report finds that such a competitive clean energy market design, such as the ICCM, would be a highly effective way of accelerating the grid transition envisioned in the EMP. Compared to the status quo, a PJM-wide implementation of the newly developed ICCM could save New Jersey customers approximately $220 million per year, while at the same time increasing renewable energy from 50 to 59% of customer demand, and clean energy, which includes nuclear, from 84 to 92% by 2030. The report also recommends a pause on adoption of a go-it-alone approach in which New Jersey would seek to achieve its clean energy objectives outside of PJM's capacity market. For example, through PJM's Fixed Resource Requirement, or FRR, alternative, or in coalition with other states committed to clean energy. However, staff is cognizant that the realities of climate change do not allow for never-ending stakeholder discussion at PJM and FERC, and that appropriate regional reforms must be instituted in a timely manner. Therefore, the report also recommends reconsidering the merits of multi-state or other go-it-alone approaches in mid-2022, based on the developments at PJM during that time. In making these recommendations, staff emphasizes that we anticipate a series of filing from PJM, starting in July and going through the fall, with final resolution on key capacity market reforms. The specifics of these reforms and their progress before the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission will be critical to determining whether future consideration of FRR-based resource adequacy solutions should be pursued. In addition, the recent change in administrations, both in the White House and at PJM, provides a unique opportunity to work at the regional level to bring about market reforms that will efficiently achieve the state's goals of achieving 100% clean energy. Accordingly, staff recommends that the board accept the report and authorize staff to proceed consistent with the recommendations contained there.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments for Joe? Yes.
Just a quick question. Joe, have there been any new developments at PJM or FERC that you're not aware of?
Great question, Commissioner Gordon. yesterday, the PJM board solidified their desire to move forward filing the PJM staff MOPR repeal package. So as staff has been updating the commissioners on, we anticipate that was a step that we had anticipated throughout the process, and that step was just formalized yesterday. We expect that filing to be made at the FERC within the next couple weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, and as many of you know, our relationship with FERC has ebbed and flowed over the years. Same with PJM. But today I am pleased to see staff's report go out into the world, explaining one, competitive market analysis and ways to retool those markets to support, not fight, not push back on the state's clean energy needs. The dire impacts that MOPR could have had on capacity costs hopefully are not going to come to fruition. With the movements by PJM, with the receptiveness, we believe at this point, of FERC, our hope is that MOPR is going to see its final days. I want to specifically note, however, that while the report recommends a pause on any decision to leave the PJM market, MOPR repeal by itself, in my view, is not sufficient. During the next 12 months, we will work with PJM and the new administration on market design changes aimed squarely at maintaining reliability and reducing the costs of clean energy. Additionally, we will continue to work with our fellow state commissions and utilities to develop a robust backup plan to ensure New Jersey remains a leader in clean energy. And I'm happy to report that Secretary of Energy Granholm is in the state today and will be making several visits to New Jersey because of our leadership in the clean energy environment. And we have a former commissioner colleague who was the acting assistant secretary of energy, who works closely with the secretary, and our views are going to be heard. And it's important that we make sure, and I know our staff, under the leadership of Abe and Joe and David Schmidt and all of those who work on national and regional policy, are going to keep New Jersey in the forefront. Our efforts continue to not only make New Jersey a leader in clean energy, but to also reduce the impact on ratepayers. So, good job, Joseph, and Abe, good job. Kelly, good job. Everybody, a good job. Ben, with your economic expertise, all of these things come together in order to continue to move New Jersey down the appropriate road. And we did vote on this, so I'm not prematurely doing anything here, right, Abe? Thank you. If there are no other items, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very, very much. Have a good day, everyone.